Yeah.
So it is an anomaly, you know, it's weird. So what else have I missed from the calm? Miklos Fischer. Oh, that's an article.
That's an article. Skip that for now. Yeah. I kind of forget what it's about, actually, to tell you the truth.
Oh, there's wave interactions.
That's it. Wave interactions.
Okay.
You remember that toy I showed you?
Yeah. Is this yours, Carl?
My what?
Is it
Yes.
your robot-y thing?
The what?
Is this your robot?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
You remember I showed it to you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Well, I put some pipe insulation over the legs of it so that it would float in order to generate waves that would interact with one another.
Unreal.
But this was my first attempt, or one of the first attempts. And as I look at this, it doesn't really show very well.
No, it almost
No.
just looks, yeah, it's all just kind of going across each other, right?
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what I was trying to do here. I mean, I had an idea that this might be a useful way of producing changing wave interference patterns that I could video and maybe manipulate somehow just for, you know, illustrative purposes. But
Yeah.
But the light has to be just right, and of course the water has to be calm. You see the waves behind me on.
Yeah.
That's too much. That's
Oh.
too rough. That's too rough. So I've done it 2 mornings now. I've gone out when sometimes the lake is really calm. When there's no wind, the lake is really, and no boats, the lake is really calm. So I'll go out at dawn sometimes. This was shot near dawn, close to dawn. And I think I have some better ones, but in fact, there's one especially, and I thought I took a still picture of it, because it showed a beautiful pattern of waves of what you'd call standing waves. A standing wave is one that doesn't move, it stays in the same place. And you can get the effect of a standing wave by intersecting other waves. And so when they come together, if everything is right, if everything is working perfectly, a wave will just stay in one place. And I've got one picture here. I couldn't find it. I wanted to show it to you, which shows a kind of almost a grid pattern of slightly elliptical points that show how the way it looked like standing waves. They might have been moving, but I took a still of it, and it's pretty much what I wanted to show. I sent this to you. This was one of my first experiments, so this isn't very good, but this has got me thinking over the last week or so. This has really gotten me thinking because it got me thinking into the dynamics of the actual Nexus itself. Okay, and I'll try to explain why. All right, and let me see if I can find my little whiteboard to draw on for you. Because it's kind of interesting. I haven't gotten this far into it yet, and so I don't know where it's going to end up. But it's another little baby step in the development of Nexus theory that followed upon this. Just this was the stimulus. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but I did it because I talked with you about it, and I joked with you. I think I've had it for 2 or 3 years, and I'll do it someday. And then one day I thought, well, gosh, it's nice, it's calm. Wow, well, I'll just see if I can do it. And it took me a little time to make the thing, to make it, and it worked pretty well. It was simple to modify. Oh, here it is. Okay, good. All right. Hang on. I've got to clean off the old one that I left there. All right. Yeah. Note to future self, when you use a whiteboard, oh, I started wiping it off already. Remember this?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I didn't clean it off, and now it's hard to clean off. Let's see, the back I can't use. I just put a little water on it to try and clean this stuff off. But I've had I've had what I think is a kind of important idea, actually, in terms of, because where all this leads, Sarah, is first of all, by describing Nexus theory, it provides opportunities to be able to test it scientifically. Okay, and there are two ways that can happen. I can suggest experiments, or somebody else can suggest experiments to test it. And usually the way science works is when you have a broad sweeping theory that has kind of like a lot of moving parts in it, there's no good way to test the whole thing all at once. Okay, and a good example is Einstein's theories of relativity, general theory and special. I can never remember which one is which, but it was years before anybody, I think 50 years passed before anybody figured out a way to test it. And the first way they tested it was during a solar eclipse. Let's see, how did it go? There was a solar eclipse, and Einstein's theory predicted that gravity would bend light. And so during an eclipse, the planet Mercury becomes visible because the sun is obscured, and Mercury is very close to the sun. So normally you don't see Mercury. It's very hard to see. But an eclipse happened, and the orbit of Mercury was very well known, and
getting my name. Yeah. Oh.
and it just worked out. It just worked out that during the eclipse, Mercury was moving around the sun. It wasn't in front of the sun. If it was in front of the sun, it would have been washed out by the sun. It couldn't have been. You can't see by anything when you're looking straight into the sun, right? And so Mercury was passing around the edge, and I think maybe it was going around the back, and Einstein's theory predicted that gravity would bend light. And indeed, they found that the light coming from Mercury was bent by the gravitational force of the sun. And that was the first test of Einstein, that was the first validation of Einstein's theory. But that didn't validate the whole thing, because that was just one experiment. See how that works? So okay, let me now find my I've got this clean enough to use, and I have some, these are chalk pens. I got a bunch of pens, of whiteboard pens a while back, and I haven't even used them. It's time. Let's see. Chalk pens. No, these are colored. I don't want. Let me use this. All right. So let's see if this works. Not real good. Sorry.
I was just searching for in YouTube. I searched for brilliant explanation of Einstein's theory.
Oh, you'll find a lot.
There's a hour and a half documentary.
I'll use this.
Mm.
And this is something, I think I knew this. I mean, I didn't, but I just haven't focused on it. All right, this will work. I need a better way to do this, but this will work for now. All right, let's say we're talking about. No, it's not working at all. Darn it. All right. Is this good enough contrast, isn't it? All right.
Yep.
This is a ventricle. This is a part of the, let's call it the third ventricle. Okay, just a space. This is the space.
Yeah.
All right. There's going to be, try doing it like this. There's going to be cilia, little cilia sticking out, right?
Yeah.
And they'll be spinning around whatever phase they are in. Phase is a word used to describe the position of something moving in a circle. Okay, and usually the phase, it can be described as the number of degrees.
Yeah.
All right. So at any point,
Sorry, the dog's looking a bit worried.
Oh,
Anyway,
is she? Do you want to give her a snack?
No, no, she's fine. They're building a big house over the road, so every now and then there's a banging and noises, and it agitates her a little bit.
Oh, I see.
She's all right, but yeah, go on. So yeah,
Okay. So what's going to happen here? Let's just pick any random cilia is going to give off a light wave, right?
Yeah.
And that light wave is going to wind up on the other side, and maybe, probably, it should get caught, get picked up by another cilium on the other side. Or maybe it doesn't work that way. Maybe a cilium is only needed to emit, but because there are kind of little spaces in between. It doesn't really matter. We have an emitter on one side, and we have a catcher over here. I'll diagram it like this, okay? Just kind of looks like maybe something that would catch. Okay, just to establish some conventions here. Okay, so we have this going on all the time. Okay, so there's another cilium over here, and let's say this one shoots out a light wave here. Gets caught by another cilium over here. All right, let's just say. I didn't really intend to make it jumpy like that, okay? But the real question then is, what's happening here where they intersect? What is happening here when they intersect? Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay, so it takes, Nexus theory says that the surrounding brain tissue, all the neurons of the brain, are in some way or another synchronized to all the ciliary beating that's going on. I lost your picture. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Oliver, phone. Yeah. Oh God.
We're calling
yeah.
it?
He's bloody. Just 1 second.
Okay, take care of that.
Bloody hell, Oliver. I'll see if I can just message him on Messenger saying, "Stop phoning me, Oliver."
Well, why don't you just answer? Call him.
I'll just go. On. He just probably wants me to call. Am out on call to Carl.
Yeah, he probably wants you to pick him up, right?
He wants me to pick him up. You know what he's like.
Well, yeah.
Yes. So go on.
Okay, so we're talking about the mechanics of the Nexus itself here, right? In a way. Okay, so there are going to be neural events that result in the emission of light. This is emission going on here, and it'll be timed to the ciliary beating, so that the neural events going on that result in a photon, a biophoton being released, are going to be aimed at specific targets on the other side of the ventricles.
Say that again.
The coordination, the synchronizing of the operation of what they sometimes call the wetware of the brain, or the neurons, okay, are going to synchronize or be synchronized with the ciliary beating in order to be able, so in order for the neural events to be directing the direction that the photons are being given off. In other words, okay, there's going to be neurons, axons probably of neurons leading up to here, and stimulating a cell just underneath the They're called ependymal cells that have these cilia in them. And the neural signal that science knows about really well will arrive here, and let's say it works this way, and stimulate a photon to be released. Well, the cilium is waving around, okay? So what's the timing needs to be precise enough so that it arrives in order to cause a photon to be released at a certain point in that waving around of the cilia, a certain degree of phase, whatever phase it's in, okay? From 0 to 360 degrees. The phase is going to be important because the cilia are going to have a natural rate of whipping around, okay, which probably can be modified slightly by various kinds of events, but
So
we don't need
phase. It's a predictable phase, is it?
yes. So they're whipping around. Remember do you remember I told you the rate or the frequency of the beating is 40 hertz?
Oh, right, yeah.
Remember? Okay.
Yep.
So they're beating around at 40 hertz. That means 40 times every second there is an opportunity for that cilium to be at any point in the range of possible phases. Okay, makes sense?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that's the first part. There's going to be neural signaling is going to be timed to hit these ependymal cells and release a photon at specific times, very specific times. The timing is going to be critical. And this is probably something that requires, of course, it's like everything else that cells do requires energy and has certain mechanisms associated that make it happen. And it could even be that sleeping serves the purpose of giving it a rest and everything a chance to recharge and recover. Okay, the energetic processes needed, in terms of the electron transport, building up a supply of ATP and those things. When I talk about energetic processes, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about actual scientific stuff that is where real energy transfers are going on. All right. Of the kind that science is able to measure today. This not to say there aren't other kinds of energetic processes, but the phrase gets used in ways that oftentimes are not entirely scientific. So I just want to make that distinction. Okay, so we have here, and this has always been in the back of my head. This isn't something new, but I haven't articulated it well yet. And this process that started with me talking to you, that got me to make the robot, that made me create these pictures and then look at them and start thinking about them. Now we're actually, this is actually applicable. All right. Okay. So there's a number of parts to this. Let me go to the other part. All right. Let's say for simplicity, for the moment, let me take this other photon out. Let's just say we're talking about the motion. Let's say we're only talking about one photon at a time. Okay. The a cilium is moving around and it'll have a certain range. So we could say it might be able to fall anywhere in this range on the other side. It might be able to shoot a photon at any location in this range, but it'll be, you know, these cilia, I don't think, I mean, they're just sweeping around, not quite in a circle. It's sort of like an off-center elliptical circle sort of thing, because it's a, remember I showed you, it's got this a power stroke and a recovery stroke and a power stroke and a recovery stroke. So this is kind of an idealization, but it's going to be kind of circular. So it's not going to be able to be whipping around and then at any point go into the center. So oh, this is beautiful. Thinking about it, this is making even more sense. Okay, so on the other side, what it's able to describe is a circle. I don't want to mess this up too much. If you think of this sideways and three-dimensional, okay, there's a circle that it could hit any part of this circle. And if you look at holograms, Sarah, what they are a bunch of intersecting circles. We're looking, this is
Wow.
I'm getting goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps. This has never occurred to me before. It's just coming out right now. This is thrilling. This is thrilling. Okay. And because this has to be how it works. This has to be how it works. Now there might be a little bit of wiggle room. Maybe there's a range. Maybe it's able to, maybe the circle has a width to it that it could hit, you know, by maybe it's able to make a slight little adjustment. I don't know. Let's not worry about that. That isn't what's important right now. Okay. On the other side though, okay. So first let's just systematize this. At first we have on the sending side, we have the ability to sweep a circle and aim a photon at any point along that circle, right? And then, so on the other side are going to be receptors for the photons. And those are probably also cilia, but those cilia might only work, they might only receive a photon, or it might be a probabilistic thing. They might only receive when they're pointed in the right direction. So they may only be capable of receiving in a certain part of their phase.
Yeah.
Okay? This is so speculative. It's impossible to know right now. Okay, but I don't know if you remember, I showed you a picture once of the cilia inside the ventricles of a rabbit. Do you remember the bundles of cilia?
I think so.
They were like bundles of like 24 cilia, all in clumps.
Yeah.
In clumps, because every ependymal cell has a bunch of cilia. These aren't these cells. Some cells only have one cilium, others have more. So it could be that a single ependymal cell has its cilia like pointing in different areas at different times of their phase, so that a single ependymal cell is putting enough cilia out at waving enough cilia around that one of them is going to pick up an incoming photon. That's the most likely thing. Okay, that there might be one cilia, maybe maybe it's like, God, I wish I had a bigger whiteboard. Maybe it's like, okay, you're over here, the if you had a single ependymal cell, this is as if it was on here with a bunch of cilia sticking out, with each one, you can see what I'm drawing here. Yeah, with each one being, if each one was in a different, pointing in a different direction, and they were all waving around, the ependymal cell might be able to tell which cilium picks it up. Or maybe it's just that maybe it doesn't matter which one it picks up. Or maybe that is irrelevant. I'm going to have to think about this a lot more. Anyway, okay, so picture at anywhere along this receiving area or other cilia on other ependymal cells. I drew this as a receptor, but I'm kind of okay. Let's just picture a bunch of cilia here able to receive a photon, and then that photon gets absorbed and translated into something that then the neural tissue knows what to do with it. Like it might trigger an action potential. It might only make a change in the voltage of the membrane. It might capture the photon and guide it into the brain, some deeply into the brain, into another place to receive it. Okay, there are a lot of different possibilities, but let's just pick one now for now, and kind of think about it as, you know, we send out a photon, it gets received somewhere, and that received signal tells the brain, or it's also synchronized. It goes, perhaps the phase is known, the phase of the receiving cilium is known or not, and anyway, that's information over here on this side, on the receiving side. It's information that also enters the hardware of the brain and affects the timing of the whole system. So maybe in a normal brain, maybe when you wake up, what happens is these lazy cilia wake up. They've been sleeping too, and they wake up and they start, and this would only take a second or two, as long as it takes to wake up. And maybe they start sending and receiving photons in such a way that the whole brain lights up and starts to go, and starts humming, kind of thing. Okay, all right, it's working. And so photon gets shot out here, received here, signal comes around to tell the same place to do the same thing. And a circuit gets set up. Hum, 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 hum. And it just keeps doing the same thing, sending photons, keeping this pattern going. Let's just say, and we're only talking about one right now. Okay, we're only talking about one. So what happens when we start talking about two? All right. Let me get a different color. Not good. Crap, these are kind of old pens. Let's see if blue works better. Yeah, blue's better. Okay, so another Whoops, your picture's gone. Can you hear me, Sarah?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hold on.
Can you
Where's
see me
it?
too?
Oh, bloody tap to speak, it says. Let's get my microphone. Wow.
I hear you fine. Your microphone's working. What are you doing? Can you hear me? Oh, your microphone is muted. I can't hear you. Do you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Now I hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So over here we have a neuronal axon. Let's say there's a neuron way over here. Okay. And it's got its dendrites here. All right. And the dendrites have delivered a signal here, and this neuron has reached a certain voltage at the axon hillock, remember that, to cause it to fire and send a signal over here. Okay?
Yeah.
And that causes this to release a photon. Let's just say it happens this way.
Oh, it's going to
Okay?
bend light.
Well, at here at for this oh, this is having all kinds of ramifications. This cilium doesn't even have to be next to this one or anything like that. It just, but it's going to also have a receptive field over here. Let's say its receptive field, I don't know how to do this to really make it right, but we'll get the idea. Let's say its receptive field, it's a little over here. Let's just say its receptive field looks like this. Okay, it's sweeping around, and it has done it in this. It has hit this part of its phase. Can you see this? All right.
Yeah.
Does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is doing its thing, sweeping around, delivering photons at whatever part of the receptive field the neurons, the hardware of the brain has got it synchronized to, has told it to emit a photon, and it goes here. All right. And so everything then applies. It has, I should have drawn it like this. All right. Okay, so then, Sarah, by intersecting these photons, wherever they intersect, there is the potential for them to interact together.
When you say potential, that suggests that they're not necessarily going to.
Correct. And that's because God damn, I don't have anything. I have some paper, but it's up behind this green screen. Not easy to get to at all. I'll just draw. Just imagine I'm at a blackboard, cluttering it up. What did you just say?
But you said that there's a potential for them to interact.
Yes. Okay. When you have two waves coming together, wave. I won't switch to a black one. Okay. But whenever two waves intersect, okay, there are a number of possibilities about what can happen at the intersection point. if 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 two waves come together like this, where one is going up and one is going down,
Oh yeah, I remember this.
they will cancel out to nothing. If two waves come together and they're both going up, they will magnify, but their energies will be combined. And then everything in between is possible too, depending on their relative phases. Again, the phase has to do with what part of the cycle that they're in. And this is,
Yeah.
and that is what's kind of illustrated by the vibrating robot, the doodling robot, it's called.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we're just right now we're only talking about two photons, biophotons interacting, but keep in mind this is going to apply to thousands, maybe millions of them all going off, you know, simultaneously to form to interact and create pockets of energy, a place, a structure. Let's say they're combining at this point, okay? And so we have a little bit of energy here that is that a little bit of energy that a little ways away doesn't exist. Okay, it's just sort of focused here, just for an instant, just for a moment. Constantly though, 40 times every second, being refreshed, being updated, just like your computer screen kind of is doing. Okay, and so these energy points. Okay, we have seen here how we can get one energy point from the intersection of two waves, but then you can see that you could add another one and get you can quickly get a large number of points. The picture I couldn't find that I wanted to show you might kind of look like this. I'll try and draw it as if there was regular patterns. My hand's in the way. As like this, as if there were regular patterns of energy distribution going on in terms of standing waves, waves that aren't moving. They're staying there just because energy is being delivered to those areas in the right phase in order to deliver energy there, and there you have the wave because of the energy. Okay, so you can picture this pattern, these patterns forming within this whole space, and they ought to have the ability. This might require an experiment, but they ought to have the ability to deflect a photon. So that let's just say it works this way. I can't say for sure. Let me get a different color pen and hope it works. It's not real good. Can you see the green? Yeah. Okay. So now we have another photon emitted from over here. Is that visible? Just barely. Okay. And this photon hits this established pattern, but instead of just going through, it interacts in such a way then it bounces off and it goes off somewhere over here. Bing, bing, bing. All right. And this one, let's draw its cone of operation. And let's say it's over here. Okay. It's got this receptive field. And the brain normally knows, oh, this is really making sense too. Okay. The brain normally knows that if it's got the timing going in such a way that this photon emitted at this point in this cilium's phase should wind up over here, but it doesn't. It winds up over here instead. Well, then that tells the whole system that this photon interacted here. Does that make sense?
No, say it again.
Okay. Normally, if this photon was just being shot across empty space, it would go straight across and wind up here in its receptive field. Okay. But if it gets deflected, it doesn't have to, it's no longer confined to this receptive field. It doesn't even have to be here. It could be here. It could wind up where this one is normally would. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is all totally speculative right now. I'm just, it could work other ways, but this is the most logical. All right. So you can see it's possible just on strictly mechanical ways here. If it worked this way, the brain could be set up so that it's resonating all the time in such a fashion as to establish a pattern in here where there are energy patterns built up in certain areas. This is blue. Let's see if it'll work in green. Maybe green ones, maybe there are different wavelengths. Maybe there actually are blues and greens. Okay. And maybe they're different sizes or something like that. Who knows what these patterns, what these interference patterns are going to look like. Some are going to overlap. They're probably not all the same wavelength. Okay. But we're going to build up essentially in here, we're going to build up a whole bunch of standing waves in a pattern, right? In patterns that are because they're wave interactions, they are holographic. All right. So this is part 1 of 2. Okay. This is the strictly mechanical part that the brain is doing with its biophotons. Okay, nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing else is happening until you have established a pattern in here, a holographic pattern in 3 dimensions. This is gonna be hard to visualize. What a mess this is, huh? Okay. But what the brain does is build up holographic patterns in here that some of them will match patterns that consciousness in the 0 point energy that the cosmic consciousness or God consciousness in the 0 point energy uses, that means something to that larger, higher consciousness. Did you hear me that whole time, or was I cutting out?
Yeah. No, I heard you. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because your image cut out for a minute. Okay. Okay. So at that point, when the holographic pattern in the Nexus gets to interact with the holographic pattern of consciousness in the 0 point energy, then that is when that higher consciousness is able to influence and take over and guide the further distribution of where the biophotons are going to end up on the receptive side.
Wow.
Follow me? Doesn't that make sense? That's part 2. That was a lot easier than part 1. Okay. And I don't even know how to draw it. This is going to take me some time, a long time probably. But that's it. This is it, Sarah. This sloppy, messy drawing is the first, this one right here that we're looking at right now. This is the first ever drawing, hypothetical drawing of a functioning nexus. Right now.
Wow.
This is it. First time in history. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so this is what I've been thinking about. Because just the whole chain of events. I've been kind of thinking along this line. This is the first time I've articulated it. This is the first time I've written it down, and it's the first time anyone but me has ever heard it.
Wow. We just made history.
We have made history today.
I did it slightly passively, but still.
But still, I couldn't have done it without you. I shouldn't say couldn't. I wouldn't have done it without you. I'd still be back wherever I was.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sarah, you're an inspiration. What's the date? This is 6/19. 6/19/20. Right here.
Well, of course, it actually is the 19th of the 6th, 20.
Oh. That's right. That's right. It's 19/6/20. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. On the if we draw a picture of the Earth here, this is down under.
Hold on. Because
Oh,
the children are bloody calling me. They want me to go and pick them up. Oh God.
It's okay. Just go get them.
However, Carl, we can I did make some notes there. I've got some notes of this.
I'm recording.
Which will probably they'll be worth a fortune one day, you know, the moment.
You're right. You're right. They'll be worth a fortune someday. You're right, Sarah.
Yeah. So how are you? Do you want to come up? Do you want to come for the ride, or?
You know,
we can...
I would like to. I would like to, but I'm not 100% recovered from my sleep loss, so I'm going to pass. All right. I kind of feel like I've done a brain dump here, and I want to think about it.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. Totally.
Sarah, I can't even begin to tell you how how I feel about the serendipity of us meeting and arriving at this point
Yeah.
together this way and I really couldn't have done it without you. The couldn't isn't the right word. It just would have
Yeah.
taken so much longer, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you got that this is
But
the
Carl,
the
can
earth
I
here?
say
Yeah.
that was the photons being deflected in all those various myriad of ways and
Yes.
interacting with the holographic nature of 0 point energy, which then guided your thinking or your world and mine. And so it was a collaborative exercise, is a collaborative exercise with consciousness, with God.
It is. There is a desire on the part of higher consciousness for us to know this. And we're helped by that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
Hallelujah, Carl.
Hallelujah. Yeah, yeah. Well, do you need to take off? How soon are you picking them up?
Hold on. I'll just have to look. I can hear you, but I have to go to the other screen to find out what they've said.
Okay.
Oh, they're there. They're there.
Oh, okay. So they're standing by the road waiting for you to pick them up.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
They're hopeful.
They're hopeful. God damn, Sarah,
They are funny.
we made history tonight, and nobody knows it yet,
Right.
except you and I.
I know.
I'm,
Wow.
I gotta process. I gotta process this.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah. All right.
Well, happy processing and taking care of yourself and not staying up all night. So
I'm gonna try not to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Woohoo!
Yeah. I have goosebumps.
Wow, Carl.
Yeah.
Goodness. Well, bloody hell. So I'll see you on Monday, and then I won't see you for a week because I'll be on the walk, and apparently obviously it wouldn't really work on the walk anyway, but apparently there isn't much phone coverage.
No. Will you send me some pictures when you do have coverage?
Yeah, of course.
I'd love to see, what I'd really like to see is besides just the views, I'd like to see your friends that you're hiking with.
Oh, sure.
And how everybody is outfitted and their backpacks and what your campsites look like, or you're sleeping in lodges and stuff.
Yeah.
That's probably even more interesting than the scenery. The scenery's interesting too, but any pictures you can take, I'd love to see.
Okay.
Okay. And please ask some people to take pictures of you.
Yeah.
to send. All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. All
righty.
Okay. I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you on Monday.
Okay. Brilliant.
Okay. Good night.
Bye.
Or good day. God damn. We did it.